Hey guys, Editor Sonic here. Just so everybody knows, the people who were recording this episode are a bunch of potty mouths, and they decided after the fact that they were going to censor all their swears. But there's a lot of them, so I had to take the liberty to get rid of them somehow. And I did. So that explains the sounds. Hope you enjoy it anyway.
Want to get started?
Yeah, I want to get started. Who the f*** are you?
Who the f*** am I?
Yeah.
Who the f*** are you?
Well, I'm David Baxter, I'll have you know.
Bax?
Bax.
We just call him Bax, everyone.
It's
just
true.
Call him
Everyone,
Bax.
yeah. I mean, I do respond to that just casually. I respond to most things, though. Even things that I probably shouldn't. Like...
Hey.
Yeah, 100%. Like, if you say that and, like, I'm around and I'll just be like, huh? Is it, what? Oh, no, it's not me.
Be like, hey, Marxist.
Huh? Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
So, you're David Baxter. I'll always call you back. And I'm Ebie. Hello.
Ebie.
It's me.
Ebie. Ebie.
Yeah. And just for a little bit of context, we both went to the same university, graduated. I'm a film student. I have a lot of background in visual, traditional art, and writing, filmmaking, obviously. And what did you do, Bax?
What did I do, hey? Well, I am a theater major and a communications media studies minor.
Nerd.
Yeah.
So, like, literally... just as a reference, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of points where, like, talking about things and get really overly analytical about small things, and you're going to be like, what are they talking about? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're both academics.
Yeah. I wrote 36 pages about Sonic the Hedgehog at one point for a critical analysis of pop culture class.
I just wrote a huge paper on Watchmen about how much it sucks. I hate the Zack Snyder film.
I mean, to be fair, that one isn't really loved by many, except for like a certain devout few.
It's rough, buddy. It's rough.
It's a rough one. Yeah, I hear that the HBO one is better, but I really can't vouch for it. I haven't seen it yet.
I think it's post main series, like post original novel / film.
Yeah, it kind of does its own thing, I think. Yeah.
So, Bax, what other comics have you read?
So the funny thing is that the main series comic that I have actually read the most. You might laugh at me. I'm gonna have to see your reaction for this, but it is My Little Pony.
Logging off the call now.
Now, before you go, I will have you know that Andy Price as an illustrator is just really good. And for some reason, I don't know why, but his comics are just so well illustrated that, like, I can't get enough of them. Some of the others are okay too, but like the art style can be really inconsistent with that comic. Mm-hmm. And I collected them for a while, and they're all sitting in a box in storage.
Now, is this comic, is it based off Friendship is Magic, or is it
a
whole other thing?
Oh yeah, it is. Unfortunately.
Okay, so you were a brony.
Yeah, I was definitely caught up in that whole craze, but like, I don't know. It's the year 2020, and that show has ended now, and I feel like we can say that it was an okay show and just walk away from that. Like,
I mean, I think that's perfectly valid, as long as you weren't doing the fleshlight in the doll.
Oh God,
thing.
No! You know what? I actually went to a convention dressed up as fucking Big Mac at one point, and I was approached by, and it was an anime convention.
Big Mac.
Oh no! He's like this fucking Big Macintosh. He's this fucking red dude who works with Applejack, and he's his brother. Her brother. Sorry. And fucking, what am I trying to say? Yeah, so I was at this convention, and basically no one cared or really knew who I was. If they did recognize me, they would care like, I don't care about that guy. He's a pony.
I can't loot this.
Yeah, exactly. But then one guy walked up to me, and he was like so stereotypical brony, like literal fedora, long coat, like
Like,
fucking down to his
can I roll
knees.
30 for you, man?
And you know what he did? I was playing in the board game room, and he sat down next to me and just told me about his OC, and then he joined the next round.
It's gonna be like, did he caress your thigh?
No, he trapped me in a conversation is what he did. Because I was having a great time until he walked up and then inserted himself. And then suddenly, I can't get away from him telling me about his Rapidash that he wrote into My Little Pony's universe. And he's telling me this detailed, intricate story of how this happened.
Pokemon?
Yes, the Pokemon Rapidash. And he's telling me this long, complicated story and about her love interest and this and that. And it's like, oh my God, I am playing Catan. Go away.
I mean, my only experience with the brony is freshman year of high school. Like, I kind of like group hopped a lot. I didn't have a consistent group, but when I would hang out with like the weebs, like the official like geek / weebs. I can't even say weeb because the whole school was really into anime because that's when Attack on Titan became a thing.
Yeah.
So it was like it was specifically people that were into like My Little Pony and Magic the Gathering and that sort of thing. But there was this one guy. He was probably like smaller than me, like a little scrawny little guy. He was super sweet and he was like very openly bisexual, and that obviously like separated him from other men a little bit. But he was like super sweet to me, and like he would always bring like takeout Chinese food and like share it with me, and I'm like,
Aww.
we don't even talk to each other. So I think he just wanted a friend, someone who would sit with him.
That's kind of nice. Yeah, like I definitely did chill with some of the bronies at school, but some of them were kind of like I don't know, I didn't want to hang out with them all the time.
This guy wore silly bands way past their trendiness. And it was kind of a vibe. I kind of respected that even back then, even though, like, he would wear the brony shirts, like the My Little Pony shirts, and be like,
Yeah, I never actually did that. I was never, like, very open about it. I've always kept it on the down low as just something that I've always really loved, and just because it, like, whenever I watch the show or read the comics, it brings me back to like being a kid again, and just like that sort of innocent adventure story about like a bunch of characters that I just really enjoy. I don't know, like slice of life stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Sometimes I go back to quote unquote childish things and we'll watch them. I can't put Ed, Edd and Eddy in that box because like Ed, Edd and Eddy is timeless.
Oh no, yeah, that's great as an adult too. That's just good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you read any other comics, or is your only experience MLP?
No, I mean I have read a lot of others, but a lot of them were webcomics, and I know that you have reservations about one of them in particular, which was Homestuck. That I did get into a lot in middle school. I have not like read since then, really.
God, I
like,
just
high
really
school.
want to call you like a Tumblr snowflake.
Oh, I was 100%. I was on Tumblr.
I was as well. Were you part of the Super Who Natural or whatever the hell it was called? Super Who Lock?
You know, I actually did end up watching, I think, all 3 of those shows. And I did get a little bit into them just because I like had so many friends that were in the same Tumblr zone that it was like, I can't escape these GIFs. I might as well like watch them and give in.
I was fully ingrained in it through Tumblr. I tried a few episodes of Supernatural. Hated it. Hated it.
I got to like season 9 or something like that, man. And I don't know. It kind of like I enjoyed the sort of like, oh, a scary moment at the beginning, and then the brothers go into investigate formula. But
I mean, for me, I was like, I tried Supernatural, hated it. Doctor Who is like sci-fi nerdy in a way I didn't really like because I'm not really about like just having the aesthetic tropes of sci-fi. Like you really got to like convince me to enjoy anything sci-fi.
Yeah.
And then Sherlock, Benedinkle Cucumber looks weird as fuck to me, and he always like gave me weird body horror vibes.
He sort of looks in like a weird way, sort of like a JoJo character, sort of like over detailed in ways that you don't expect.
Oh my god, now there's gonna be a Sherlock Holmes and JoJo.
I mean, there's already going to be a Sherlock Holmes Phoenix Wright game that's localized. I saw that on Twitter that people were talking about. It's well, what was the name that they gave him? Oh, Herlock Sholmes. They're calling him
It's gonna
Herlock
be like
Sholmes.
Sherlock Homo.
No, they're calling him Herlock Sholmes because the estate won't let them do the regular name.
I feel like that doesn't fit into Ace Attorney well enough, though. It's
Are
like
you
'cause they always
sure?
give him like overly aggressive, not at all subtle names, and
But
be like,
that's what
"Can
it
you call him
is.
Sherlock
It's-
homosexual."
But I mean, like, from what I understand, Herlock Sholmes sounds like a f***ing idiot and kind of a dumbass, and so I think it's actually perfect for him.
Mhm.
You know, he's sort of like an anti-Sherlock. I'm very excited about that, though. I love all those games, and then I actually have read those comics. I read manga, like I have like one Punch Man and like a couple others behind me. I
Are
want to
you
read
calling
a lot more.
manga comic books?
I'm
Are
not
you gonna
saying
start
that they are.
discourse with the anime community?
Look, I'm just saying that if they qualify under the same umbrella term of graphic novels, then I wanted to include them when I was talking about the general list of things.
I mean, to be fair, I've read a ton of manga, and I actually started reading manga really young before comics even.
Yeah,
So, like, I get
yeah.
ya.
Akira's probably my
And
favorite.
also, it is kind of like, especially if you have like the weekly shonen series, like those are just like, they're like short little serial comics.
Oh yeah, especially like the newer ones that literally are totally inspired by like superhero comic books, you
Mhm.
know, and they're
Not
totally
to
aging the
name
style in some ways.
names,
I mean, I
but
don't want to like point a finger, but we all know what I'm talking about. I think.
yeah,
yeah.
One Piece.
Yeah, it's One Piece. How'd you know? The Devil Fruit, man.
But for me,
Uh,
oh man, what was the first comic I read? I think I first picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, I won't remember which specific
mm,
one. I know I read a few of the original 80s comics. I know I read whatever comic was serializing in the early 2000s. But that
yeah,
was kind of my thing because I was really into the 2003 cartoon, and like, when I grow up, I want to be a Ninja Turtle. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I got my
I was
black belt because I
also.
wanted to be a Ninja Turtle.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. Yo, that's sick.
And
You
like
can, like,
Leonardo was my favorite, but then I got my black belt, and then he can start interacting with weapons, and I got a post staff, and I was like, fuck, Donatello is best.
That's what I'm saying. The staff is my favorite. I love Donatello so much.
You can feel the murder.
Yeah.
That comes with
Dude.
intent.
I mean, that's the whole point of like Aikido and why they often use poles as well in that fighting style, I believe.
It's so efficient. Like, where the f are you just gonna get a katana if you get into a fight? Like, I could pick up a broom and beat
Nowhere.
a guy to death.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I had those. I read other little comics as well. Like, there was a comic based off the Teen Titans cartoon. I read some of those. And then there was a spin-off of that where the Teen Titans are like little kids because for some reason they have to do that with every successful child franchise. Like, okay, but now they're little kids.
Oh my god, yeah. You're reminding me of all kinds of shit that I used to read too. Like the Scholastic Book Fair would come around, and then you get like your Captain Underpants, and you're like, your mother and Animorphs and.
See, I never experienced the Scholastic Book Fair because I was
Really?
homeschooled.
Oh well, I was like only homeschooled for a little bit from 5th grade, right before 4th grade, I think, for a little bit too, going into 6th grade.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Yeah, but I would
what
go
was I
to
gonna
the
say?
public library all the time, like every other day, and they would always have comics and magazines available. So
Hell yeah, hell
I
yeah.
definitely
I've
read a
also.
lot of Batman. That's kind of why I have the most knowledge of Batman and like DC in general. Is like those are the comics I was really into. Like I'd read some
Huh.
Superman, some Flash, and like not into it.
I never got like really into comics. Like I had some Nickelodeon comic books that I got from the book fair that were pretty fun. like the Fairly Odd Parents and like that, and SpongeBob. And I also had like I wish that I wrote these down before we actually started going at it. But I read a lot of my dad's Spider-Man comics, like the original comics from the olden times.
I played the PS2 game.
Yeah, I love the PS2 game. Yo, on the oh my god, that one was so good. Spider-Man 2.
But yeah, I remember very distinctly, like, I read The Killing Joke and Arkham Asylum. Those are both Batman series, like, way too young to really
Wow.
appreciate them or understand what the hell was happening, except, oh god. Oh dear lord.
I still haven't read those. I need to go and read them.
They're really good. And then most recently, I've read Watchmen, which was okay. I already said that. It was okay. The film sucks. Comics is okay.
One of my favorite things is to go into a comic book store and to ask them what is one of the weirdest comic books that you have, and then I let them show me to that one. So I've read a couple of very interesting ones. One of them was about like this language barrier. I forget what it was called.
Hey kids, Editor Sonic here, to let you know that the comic he was talking about here was Barrier. It's not an Archie comic, and it's definitely not safe for work. But it's a pretty fun little thing from Image Comics, written by Brian K. Vaughan, with artists Munsa Vicente and Marcos Martin.
But basically, like, one character was speaking English and the other one was speaking Spanish, and they couldn't understand each other. And so you just had this interesting comic about these people who couldn't understand each other in a foreign world where they were just trying to figure out what was going on. And it was really, really interesting and engaging.
That does sound really cool.
Yeah, another one was called Memetic, which was just like a one-off sort of comic
That
about
sounds really
a meme.
familiar.
Yeah, it's super good. It's about a meme that destroys the world. It's like this little sloth that's like doing a thumbs up and smiling. And he gets spread around to every single person in the entire world, and then eventually everyone ends up sort of becoming an amorphous mass by the end. You'll have to read it to find out how.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So, Bax, what is your history with the man, the legend, the hog, Sonic Maurice Hedgehog?
Sonic Maurice Hedgehog. My god. Can we hold on before we even get into this? Can we talk about that? Maurice.
Did you
His
not
name
know
is
that?
Maurice. I knew that, but I didn't know that it was going to be in the f***ing preview comic that you almost made me skip.
I didn't tell you to skip it. I was like, it's just not that important.
You're like, it's not that important. You don't have to read
But
it.
I mean, you've
And
got
then
that.
I read it, and I was like,
I mean, I could have had you read the Sonic Bible, in which someone said his name is actually Ogilvy Maurice Hedgehog.
Ogilvy? Whoa! I love that. Yo, that's a fucking good deep cut. I want to put that in a trivia night.
That piece of writing is very weird because it's like a inception of Sonic sort of thing, like as it was first being created, like in a Western sense, like that, and like he was raised in a regular hedgehog family and was like originally like a normal colored hedgehog, and like he grew up in Oklahoma or some shit. And Dr. Eggman or Tintabear Robotnik raised him, and like that's why he suddenly gained powers. It's weird, man.
Yeah. So my history with the hog, to sort of transition back into this, I grew up playing Sega Genesis games. It was my very first console that I ever really got my hands on and got to play myself. I mainly watched my dad play it, especially the games like Shining Force and stuff like that. But the one game that I would always play on my own, and I knew exactly how to play it, was Sonic the Hedgehog. It's easy. You press right and you go. It's so much fun. And like I played the original, the second, the third one, Pinball, with Knuckles, all of them. I love it so much. And ever since then, I've been a huge Sonic fan. Even the really bad games, I totally love, and they have like a deeply rooted, loving place in my heart where I thoroughly trash them and love them anyway.
I mean, for me, I do think the Archie comics were my first introduction to Sonic. I mean, I know I played the original game pretty late in life. I think I played the original Sonic the Hedgehog as it was released in Sonic Generations. Like, you could walk up to the console and play it. But I think it was the Archie comics first because again, I would like go through the comic bin at the public library, and probably
I love that.
I think I
love that
told
public
you this the
library.
other day, but in Sonic X,
Sonic Hero.
the
God damn, dude.
anime,
The fucking
the
anime
four
is
kids
so good.
anime.
I love that anime. Gotta go fast.
I
We'll
watched a
throw in
few
that song there.
episodes of it like 2 years ago, and I'm like, actually, this kind of slaps.
I know. I want to rewatch it. We'll definitely have to rewatch it at some point
Oh
during
my
this
god,
podcast.
special episode? Ooh woo.
Oh, for sure. For sure, somewhere down the line.
Oh my god. We'll have to decide if it's gonna be dub or sub.
Oh my god. Maybe both. We
Both?
do one review for one and one review for the other.
Fine.
I don't know. Maybe not.
So Bax, why are we doing this podcast? What brings you to the yard aside from Sonic's milkshake?
My milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard, and they're like, "We're gonna get copyright strike." Yeah, so we are going on a wonderful journey through the true American classic that is the Archie Sonic comic book. It is true American literature.
Classic American literature, man.
Yes.
It's gonna be an incredible, wonderful journey.
I mean, maybe we're gonna do all the Sonic media at some point, but we're gonna start with the Archie comics.
I mean, definitely when we get to certain points, it's kind of like you gotta read the spin-offs, because, like, the main line will start referencing it and be like, tune in next time, and also read the spin-off if you want the other half of the story.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, there's so many games that tie into it as well. It almost feels wrong not to talk about some of the games as they come along in the sort of franchise along next to Archie, because it really feels like with each new generation of Sonic, sort of the comic evolves with it in some ways.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's such a meta thing anyway that, you know, you read these first few comics and they reference constantly the games, so it's kind of like, in order to even fully understand what's happening.
Fire up your Genesis, kids, and turn on and go to Casinopolis Zone, or flip the page. I love like that in this comic.
Why specifically the Archie comic? Why? What inclined you to be like, I want to go on this journey?
Well, to be fair, my avatar actually on Twitch is from the Archie comics, and I don't know what page it's from. So at
so
some
you're
point,
going on a journey to find that specific image.
Yeah, I want to know where it's from exactly, because I can't find it anywhere on the internet, and literally, like, this has been something that has bothered me for a while now, because the original image I deleted and it had like a little bit of yellow, and so like, it's transparent now for my emote on Twitch. But like the original, I can't find it, so I don't know what like his pose was or anything like that. And so I want to find it, and I want to see the full Sonic from my Twitch avatar. But I mean, for other reasons, I want to watch it read it because like I've always seen the comic around growing up, and I've always wanted to read it and get more into it. I just never had the money to get into it. And now that the internet is here and there are ways to access these things, then I can actually like experience the entire thing from front to back. And I just really like Sonic as a media franchise, and I'd like to experience the full grasp. Yeah, there's so many things that are only in the comics, so many characters that are loving.
Oh, hundreds.
Yeah, like I just there's so many that like I know that fans really appreciate, like in mods, you know, they'll throw them in like Cream and, you know, Ray and Mighty and characters that don't really get a lot of love in the main series that do get a lot of love in the comics and get fleshed out in full stories. I want to know what they're about. I want to get to know them, you know?
And I'm here to guide you because I'm the Archie comic expert. I read all 290 issues growing up.
So why are you doing this again to yourself?
To be honest, I mean, it's kind of one of those nostalgia things where I'll have an inherent appreciation for it. And, you know, it's kind of the media of Sonic that specifically I enjoyed the most, because, I mean, let's be real here. Even growing up, it wasn't like this is the epitome of storytelling. But
Yeah.
There was an appeal to it that it was like so schlocky and batshit insane and just so much melodrama and like art style changes violently depending on the issue.
Yeah, no, for real. Like that's something that I noticed when I was looking at this in a actual comic book store. I would just like pick up a random issue and be like, "Oh, well this is from like Sonic Adventure Battle 2." And then I pick up another issue and then it was like, "Oh, well this is around Sonic Generations." Then I pick up another issue and then it was like, "Oh, well this is around the Genesis era." And I can immediately just tell from the art style. And then you pick up a Ken Penders issue and then you're like, "Oh."
So yeah, kind of like part of it as well is like I've always wanted to share the experience of Archie Sonic with someone because oh my god, even no context like panels and images, like you don't understand how it's just insane.
I mean, yeah, there's so much going on here, and it went on for so long, so consistently, that there's just such a rich history here. If you ever have tried to look through the Sonic Wiki, it is a treasure
Oh my
of
god,
of
it's like
people
an
just
epic.
desperately.
It like
Yeah,
has
just
an entire Wikipedia dedicated to itself.
there's so much. There's so much, and each character like actually comes back. Even insignificant ones are like referenced in later issues, and like, oh, you see, we have uh or Orbinaut is featured in this early scene here for the first time, and actually he comes back in a later sequence in order
And
to
that's why
to
I was
hunt.
like the other day, it's like, no, you gotta like take note of all the characters because even like the weirdest this is only
Yeah.
gonna be a one-time thing and a random like little vignette of 1992 comic. Like, no, you'll probably see that character again in some minor way at least.
Is Betty Butterfly gonna come back?
I think she does.
Huh. Yeah, she was a character that I saw, and I was like, that's the most forgettable character I've ever seen in a comic.
Yeah,
She's
do
just
you
a
like how
butterfly
it's
that's
just
like,
a
oh,
literal
Sonic,
butterfly with a face on it?
oh, Sonic, you gotta help me, Sonic, oh, help me. No, that was her whole character.
But yeah, definitely I think Archie is important in a lot of ways for the Sonic franchise because like it's also sort of the beginning of narrative in the franchise. Like
Mm-hmm.
this comic started in 92 and then the Statum series like the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon started in 93 and you'll see a lot of the same like plot elements, original characters, etc. and they took heavy inspiration from each other, but this comic was first and
A certain
we're not
writer
quite
who
there
we
yet,
have
but you'll really see when
possibly
a
named
certain
already,
writer picks it up and starts developing a narrative.
Mr. Ken.
A
Kenneth
certain
Henderson. I
the
cannot
man, the
wait. I'm
legend.
literally like biting my. Those intro comics are so nice because they're just like, here's everyone in a big page lineup. Here's Buzz Bomber and Crab Meat. And did you know that this guy's name is Cater Killer?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the miniseries is important. I mean, kind of my thing is like you don't gotta read them because it's just kind of like here's this character, here's this character, here's this, and it's like not really pertinent to the mainline comics, but it does like I guess fully ground them better.
It also explains Sonic's motivation to get Uncle Buck back
Uncle
and
Buck?
to get his dog back. Uncle Buck, isn't that his name?
You mean Chuck?
Chuck. I said Buck because my friend is
Sir
Buck.
Charles Hedgehog?
Is there a Buck in this series? Is there a Bucky
Sonic with
hedgehog?
mustache?
Oh my god. I hope that there's like a buck-toothed like hedgehog
Well,
named
because
Buck.
also the thing with the miniseries is it develops a bunch of like these little like plot points and origins that all get immediately retconned, so none of it is pertinent.
That is true. And also Sally just has blonde hair for no reason in the first issue.
Yeah, just in the number 0, I think it is.
Yeah.
Just blonde for some reason. And then in the next issue, Sonic is like, I prefer you as a brunette. And she's like, he prefers me as brunette.
Yeah, no, well she doesn't even know. She's like, I wonder if he prefers me as a brunette. And then he's like,
And
oh
like
man,
in
I
his
wonder if she
thought bubble,
knows.
he's like, I prefer brunettes.
Yeah.
Sonic, don't be horny on me. You're like 10.
No, he is. He's a simp. He's a straight up simp. He's a simp for
He's
Sally.
not really a simp. He's like a total boy, and that only develops more in the series.
Yeah, that's true. But we are going to be going through all of the different authors throughout the years, and we're also going to be covering all kinds of different media. We mentioned earlier cartoons and anime, potentially the games that are pertinent to the era, and yeah. So,
Yeah,
Alicia,
but
do you
like
want to?
right now we're pretty it's the beginning. It's not a
Yeah.
huge like bestseller comic or anything yet. They're really trying to find their foundations. So,
Yeah, I mean,
it's just comics right now.
yeah, in these first couple of issues, it is definitely like it's going for like a little bit of a story just kind of to set up, but it's such a gag comic. I mean, there's puns everywhere. Like,
Yeah, you can absolutely tell when it goes from one writer to the next because Mike Gallagher, the writer for these first issues, he's like a total gag writer, and his father was a successful gag comic writer. So
mm-hmm.
you'll definitely tell when he's no longer a writer.
Oh, you know what else is interesting? The
Hmm.
the the prologue comic also establishes Sonic's love of chili dogs.
Yeah.
And I had never realized that it was that early established in the Sonic canon. Is this the first instance of him enjoying chili dogs?
I'm not sure. I mean, probably because I don't know what other media.
Hey guys, Sonic here. Just want to say that the chili dog was actually an object that first appeared in the Sonic the Comic series published by Fleetway Editions. I think that was like in Britain or something.
I'm pretty sure there isn't other media that establishes that because again, these comics are before the cartoon. So
Yeah,
I assume so.
the backstory there is the reason why he loves them so much is because of Sir Charles the Hedgehog, aka Uncle Chuck, who
Yeah, his
runs
uncle run
yeah
a chili dog stand.
Chuck's Chili Dogs with his good old friend Mutsky.
Yeah, like I totally forgot for a while. Just saw. It's like the weirdest. Like, what is? At what extent is like a? Is it like a furry anthropomorphic animal considered like sentient and a person?
Yeah, it's
Because
the
Sonic the Hedgehog
it's the
has a
Pluto
pet
dilemma.
dog.
Yeah, it's the Pluto dilemma. It's like okay, we're all anthropomorphic animals except for you, I guess. You're just an actual animal.
Which actually, I say that not to hint anything, but
Oh no. Wait.
if you can ask a question about something, it probably gets brought up in a really weird way later on.
Oh no. I mean that totally seems to be the case because this comic seems to be weirdly obsessed with its own history, at least in these early stages where it'll constantly reference itself.
Yeah, I see a lot of people like discuss like modern Sonic and how meta it is, but it's been super meta since the beginning.
The first issue, the inaugural issue, has a thing where he's like, "We're into the Sonic the Hedgehog comic. It's named after me, idiot." And
Yeah,
it's like,
and then he's like, "We're going to the what is it, the chemical zone? So boot up your Genesis and play Sonic 2 or turn the page."
yeah. Oh my god. That's so cool though. I love like how 90s it is with the marketing.
Also, I feel like I gotta mention this comic series, the Archie comic series, does have a accolade under its belt.
Does it?
290 issues over 20 years. So I think in 2015 it got the like Guinness World Record for the longest running comic book based off a franchise.
Does it still maintain that?
No, because I believe it ended in 26.
Hey, I'm still the longest running comic book series based on a video game.
Oh, that is correct because it was taken over by IDW or someone like that.
Yeah, Sega and Archie ended their contract, their collaboration together, so they can't
Hmm.
10 issues before number 300. That's always funny to me.
Wow, so they almost made it, and then they just, oh, sorry guys, had to go. Goodbye.
My planet needs me.
We also have an artist that does most of the work. It seems like for these first bunch of issues, for pencils.
Dave
anyways.
Manick.
Yeah, Dave Manick. I like his art. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I think I mentioned this to you last night, but it's very bold art style. Like, it sticks out. The colors are good. The art style is good. It's not
Yeah.
always consistent in, like, character model, but, like, you look at a panel from Sonic and you can tell it's Sonic, even if, like, there isn't, like, a furry character in panel.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he draws him in a sort of way that he's interpolating from the Genesis depictions of him. So he draws him with like these like very flat sort of spines coming out of his back that look like razor blades almost.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's
Short and
really
chunky.
yeah, very short and chunky. He's a chonky boy. I mean, they're all very young in this. They're not like age. They're not specifically named the age, but I think they're kind of ambiguously like young, around maybe 8 or so.
Yeah, but kind of established later on, like, this is, like, their kids at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Which, also, you can't really take anything as, like, full canon, because anything and everything can get retconned
yeah.
at any given moment.
For what it's worth, it's canon now, and then it will get retconned
Yeah,
later.
they're kids.
There's a lot of here though that like is established that will carry on throughout all of the other issues. For example, a lot of the different characters. Yeah. So we should probably just start right there. We have.
I mean,
like...
there's a lot of characters that are only in this comic or the Saturn cartoon that like most people don't even know, and are like, no, they're mainstays in the comic series though. They're regulars.
That's how I felt about a lot of these guys. I felt like when I first saw them, like, who the f- are these folks? And then you told me like, oh well, they're there forever. Get used to them.
I mean, don't act like you were offended. You were
No,
like
I wasn't
immediately,
offended.
I like Bunny Rabbit.
No, for sure. Like I wasn't offended. It was just like weird because I don't know. Like Boomer is this walrus, whose name is changed later to just Rotor, and I don't know. He looks like he's like a McDonald's character or something. Do you know what I mean? Like
the Hamburglar?
Yeah, he looks like he fits in with that crew. You know? Like that
I mean,
OG
it's also
crew.
kind of interesting because the rest of the franchise, Tails is kind of like the smart one, the engineer, the mechanic, all of that. But
Yeah.
in the comics, at least for a solid several years, it's actually Rotor.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I hadn't even thought of that. Rotor is the one who's doing all the building and mechanics and stuff. And then Tails is like f***ing off being an idiot and like
Tails is kind of like this like goofy, snarky little brother character of now.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't totally go away, but like he'll develop and mature. He'll like start to become a mechanic, but
he'll become a real man. A real
yeah,
fox.
I got him. I also really like Bunny a lot.
I love Bunny. Bunny is so cool, especially because like her backstory is like kind of messed up, especially when you're reading it for the first time, because like this Bunny just gets put into like the robotifier that like Robotnik keeps threatening to put people in, and you never actually get to see the effects of it. But then you get to see somebody like
that's
half
actually like a very important thing in these comics is Dr. Robotnik, and you got to call him Dr. Robotnik for these initial scenes until there's it'll be very clear when you cannot call him that anymore, but it's a main plot point that he has this thing called the roboticizer. So he's like trying to build this empire of robots. He can actually like put like living beings in this machine and turn them into robots.
And Bunny had both of her legs and an arm put into this thing, and then like he was yanked out by Sonic in like the last
she was like pulled out halfway through and saved.
Yeah. And then that gave her like super strength in her arms and legs. And also she's a fucking hare who's a hairdresser, which I got just this morning, and I was like, oh my god, I swear.
But I really like her throughout the comic. Like she has a strong presence. She also has like the southern trill going on.
Yeah, she's kind of got this like
Believe a rider.
Yeah.
Like
she's really
Sonic sugar hog.
And she like saves Sonic's ass a lot of times when he gets too cocky.
Yeah, she's fun. I like her a lot. She's confident. She's kind of the Southern Belle sort of thing going on. I think I hinted at you loosely things that happen in the future with rabbits.
I'm so scared. I don't
But
know
then
if we should say
we've got
anything.
her. We've got Rotor the Walrus. We've got Antoine de Coulette.
Antoine de Coulette is such a ponce. He's so funny. I like kind of love him, but I also kind of hate him. You know?
I mean, that's kind of the on and off of him. He's interesting to see throughout this series. And like these early ones, like he has like a loose French accent, but like they really hone in on it later on, which is really funny because like so there's Princess Sally Acorn, and they're all part of like the same like kingdom, the kingdom of Knothole.
The Knothole.
And it's really funny, Antoine de Coulette, because like they're part of this established kingdom, and yet inexplicably this one guy has a French accent.
Yeah, it's just like he showed up and then became their army person and just started like imitating, like either he's imitating or he's actually from France. Like I don't know, I just love that. It's just
really funny.
You don't need an explanation for it. It's just good.
But it's like we also here get like one of the most important characters, like one of the main characters in the entire comic series is Princess Sally Acorn.
Oh. I thought it'd be the Nerbs.
Yeah, it's the Nerbs. Yeah, totally.
The Nerbs are like a subterranean people that like live underground, and they have to like negotiate with them, and they become official Nerbs, which I guess are supposed to be like nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're subterranean.
I mean, even the comic that they're in is called like Revenge of the Nerbs.
I love that.
Yeah, Sally is like really important, and I find her to be a very interesting character. She's kind of ditzy a little bit in these first comics, but you'll come to find out like she's the leader of the Freedom Fighters, which is already established, but like she's like the brains of the operation pretty much.
I didn't realize that, and I also didn't realize that she was like a princess.
They call her princess.
Well, I mean, she actually like wears a crown every once in a while too. It's only when she really wants to get her way.
Yeah, that's also a major thing with her is like
a weird
you want this
part
role
of the writing.
Of princess because like she's also like a leader of like the rebellion. And
there was actually that part early on where like she goes off on her own and like writes a proclamation to Sonic like, "Don't save me, idiot. I'm going to get captured on purpose to figure out how the robotifier works." And she goes and gets captured, but he doesn't like read the entire thing because he's a fast, impulsive idiot. And he just saves her, and he's like, why are you angry at me, princess? Why aren't you happy that we saved you as mission success? And then she's
which
like...
actually, for 1992, she's actually a very well-written female character.
Yeah, not bad. I don't mind her. I think that she's a lot of fun. She has some moments where I feel like she lacks some agency.
Perfect.
Not perfect, definitely.
Like having the thought bubble of like, oh, I hope he likes brunettes. Like,
oh yeah, like she's totally coded to be the girlfriend character for Sonic, and like that's sort of, I don't always love that.
I mean, she's the only canon lover of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Is that true?
Like the entire series, the entire franchise.
Amy is just a wannabe girlfriend. Never actually.
He never gets with her.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like she's the main romantic interest through the franchise, but like they never get together.
I mean, I guess if there's gonna be one person, then it would be like the leader of the Freedom Fighters, right? Because Sonic has those high standards.
Sonic's a boy, and I can't wait for you to experience how far that goes.
God, I mean, I'm pretty sure that like his personality is gonna vary wildly from like innocent jokester, prankster, pun master to like wildly rude asshole to like.
I mean,
cool
later in the
dude.
series, he threatens to kill a man.
God, whoa, that's awesome.
Like holds like gets pissed and like holds him out an airplane and is like, "I'm gonna drop you.
Gonna drop you. Gonna drop you." It's like that scene from like Batman where he holds like the guy off the building and he's like, "I'm gonna drop you, guy. Unless you tell me where to go." And then he like drops him a little bit and then he catches him.
I mean, it is very interesting because I think you got a kind of a hint of a character later on that's Sonic, but also not Sonic. And there's not a well-written character by any stretch, not really done very well, not very interesting, but like what he does in regards to like what Sonic will do is interesting. Let's just say Sonic will start making some bad decisions.
He seems to be fairly impulsive. If there was one hubris that he had, it's that he goes too fast sometimes.
I mean, I would say Archie Sonic is kind of my favorite interpretation of Sonic's character because I feel like he's the most fleshed out. Like, he'll be a fucking dick if he wants to be.
Yeah.
And, like, that's kind of part of the thing is he's kind of a sometimes.
He's kind of a braggart. He kind of just does things just to show off.
Yeah, and it kind of gets a little worse. Like, he'll get, like, genuinely pretty arrogant. And, like, that'll be, like, a mainstay. Like, he'll still be heroic. He'll still, like, make decisions that he thinks are right. But, like, he'll start to get really arrogant and, like, overly smarmy and, like, at times holier than thou. And, like, it pisses people off.
One thing that I noticed a lot in these early issues are just like the one-page panels that are sort of like goofs, where it would sort of be like Sonic playing tennis with himself or something, or Sonic doing this by himself. And it's like weird because he's bragging, but it also makes it feel like it's super lonely.
Yeah, because, like, he doesn't really have anyone else to really, like, he has a few little friends and, like, they're underground. Which they haven't really established very well yet either. Like they kind of like talk about it a little bit, but the whole kingdom of Knothole is like underground, hidden from Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah,
and that's like their base of operations.
It's like hidden inside the forest in a stump.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was one character that before I move on to the enemies we should name, and he's a very important character that I'm sure will come back. It's Thorny the Duck.
I fucking skimmed through the comics and I already don't remember him.
Yeah, that's great. Great news. It said at the end of the issue, please write in if you want to see more Thorny the Duck, and I guess no one wrote in.
I mean, that doesn't mean the character won't reappear because they don't care.
That's true. That's true. It was just like a random duck that they brought in, but like they were afraid for a while that he was going to be a robot because that's how Robotnik do is he turns small cute animals into robots and sends them in as spies to try to like get inside the kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And then you already mentioned them, but the Nerbs.
The
The early issue, you have like so like they go underground and they find this underground society of I think they're mole rats. They're supposed to be mole rats. Unclear. They're called the Nerbs.
They're sort of like
they're like
Smurfs.
they all dress nerdy and act holier than thou.
Yeah, that's true.
And like they're never super important, but they are recurring.
That's interesting. So they're just sort of like they're not like an antagonist. They're sort of like this neutral element, sort of like Switzerland. That sort of.
They pretty much are just like, don't talk to us.
Please, no, we're isolationists. Don't touch us. No, get out of here.
Dirty outsiders.
Yeah. They really are just like a tiny underground Switzerland.
But yeah, and then there's a whole lot of named villains. Like more than there are like actual like hero characters.
Yeah, I added a lot of them in here. As many of them as I could find, but I'm sure that I missed some. And we probably missed some friends here as well.
Which I mean, a lot of them are like in the initial like games, like
yeah. Oh yeah, like Crab Meat. He's just like the crab bot.
Yeah, it's basically just naming the enemies.
Yeah, Jaws is like the guy who jumps up from like the water. Motobug, he's like the guy with the wheel that's like a bug. Splash.
I mean,
is
sort of the unique ones that you see are Coconuts, Scratch and Grounder.
Well, Coconuts is actually from the game.
Is he?
Yeah, I don't know if you remember that. He's from the very first level. He's on a palm tree and he's throwing coconuts off of the tree.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't played the original game in so long, but Scratch and Grounder I know are in the cartoon at the time.
Nice.
But they're unique, they're interesting, they have very iconic designs to end up being such minor characters.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of good character designs that I just really enjoy. Like we also got like Buzz Bombers, we got Orbinauts that we mentioned earlier, Ball Hogs, And the SWAT bots are actually very iconic, I
The
feel
SWAT
like.
bots are reoccurring and they're f***ing hilarious to me. I'm sure
Yeah!
you've seen the memes.
I have seen one very specific meme, which I'm very excited to finally see in canon, which is the no fun
No
meme.
furries allowed.
No, what is that? Is that what it's changed to? Because the one that I always saw was the no fun allowed, and it would get posted anytime somebody was being an...
Yeah. So I got them, and then Hal and Al, they pop up like years later as a coy little reference.
I love that. I was gonna say, they show up twice in the early issues, and they show up for one of my favorite sort of meme moments that I ended up taking, which was this like very good yikes Sonic, where he goes yikes, and it's a zoom in of his eye.
Yeah, what I really like is the super tricky, like, large panel they do of it as he's, like, falling through, because they're horizontal and vertical.
It's also one of the very few panels where you can see upside Sonic's nose.
Wow, must be really important to you.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you ever noticed that, but it's a good angle.
But then there's two very important villains, which, first of all, there's Pseudo Sonic, which is a Sonic made of metal, a robot that tries to go and take the place of Sonic. Sure, that won't reoccur at any other point in the franchise.
That's a very unoriginal idea. I'm sure that they'll never do it again. They really
I
got it
doubt
out of
it.
their system here.
But then there's someone who, I don't know if you know him at all. I think I had to tell you his name, but Snively.
Yeah, is he like the little like weird like long-nosed small man that accompanies?
Yeah, so he's Dr. Robotnik's nephew. And he's actually a major antagonist throughout the comic as well.
Now,
and
go ahead.
Go on.
Wow.
Well,
okay,
but
fine.
yeah, he's a mainstay antagonist. I think he's pretty interesting because I think comics and story arcs where he's like the main villain are pretty interesting. He's I feel like Dr. Robotnik at times can get really trapped in like what his role is as a character, whereas these comic only villains really get to be explored more.
Yeah, they get more depth and complexity rather than just being a completely evil being, hell bent on the complete and utter destruction and pollution of the earth.
Mm-hmm. And I think you kind of get a feeling for it in these early comics, but Snively works for his uncle and hates him.
I love that.
And it makes an interesting dynamic.
I now, this is kind of weird to ask, and I don't know, we can cut this, maybe, but is he like, did you get a vibe that it was sort of like maybe a little bit of an anti-Semitic caricature? Did you get that vibe?
I mean, really? I'm not sure. Are you trying to say like he has a big nose?
I don't know. I just thought about that, like the big nose kind of subservient pseudo villain that is sort of like underneath like the big man. I don't know.
I can definitely see where you get that reading, and then there's also, like I told you, there's some Nazi references.
Yeah,
later
because you
in
told
the
me that.
series.
Now I'm like reading into everything. I'm like,
I don't think that was necessarily intentional. I think it's kind of the
I figured
you overly emphasize certain features on villains to make them like look gross and inhuman.
But the thing is that this comic is already very like fat shamey, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it was like also just like a little bit sort of on the low key without really thinking about it, anti-Semitic.
But Bax, Sonic's dog has a Jewish name.
Mutsky. Hey Mutsky, get over here, Mutsky. Hey Mutsky. Well, that's why Robotnik transformed it right away. He had to transform it.
He had to transform Sonic's non-sentient Jewish dog.
But Mutsky's a robot dog now. He's my robot dog. Oh man.
Christ. But yeah, I think you'll really start to like Snively as a villain, just because he's not super deep, but like he's just a whole other level of trash in a way that's It's great.
I like the idea that he's sort of like where Eggman, or sorry, not Eggman, Robotnik is sort of like the alpha. He's sort of like the beta, and he's sort of like
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah,
He's like totally
stepped on,
subservient.
subservient, but like also evil in a different way.
Yeah, it makes him interesting because it's like he's the total like. I don't want to spoil it too much. Let's just say he's a fun time. And also,
Yeah.
we don't get to see my favorite villain of all Sonic until like the 130s.
Oh, really? So it'll be a while. Is he
And
Scourge?
he's off.
Look, I saw
No,
Scourge and I can't wait for
He's
Scourge.
actually in the comics. In the comics, he's the arch nemesis of Knuckles.
Ooh, interesting. I'm excited for that. I have no idea what that's gonna be.
Yeah, I love him so much, and he's like honestly the most successful villain.
Okay. You know, there's actually two villains that we did forget to name.
Hmm.
They were Burrowbot and Cluck, who go by those names in the sort of intro comics, and then later are sort of rebranded to be, I think, Scratch and Grounder.
Hmm.
And if you haven't heard those names before, they are like the chicken-based robot and like the drill tank robot. And
They're twins, but not identical.
yeah,
They like say that or something.
yeah, they're partners in crime. They always
I mean,
party
they'll be
together.
brought up again, and you'll see them throughout the series. But again, it's kind of a shame they have such iconic designs and that are so rarely mentioned.
Yeah, and I recognize these folks specifically from the cartoon, just from the snippets that I've seen. I know for a fact that they are in the cartoon as well.
Yeah, and they have like a pretty they have kind of that silly slapstick thing always going for them. Like these
Yeah.
initial comics are all very slapstick, but these two villains especially they have like the tall thin one and then the short stout one, like the smart one, the dumb one. They have that dynamic going
Like
on.
like a Moe and Curly a little bit.
Yeah.
I really, really love it. Whenever they're on screen, I have a good time. I feel like their designs are just fun.
Which also I feel like it's Dr. Robotnik in this version, these early comics, is very different from a lot of people expect of the so-called Dr. Eggman.
Yeah, I mean,
He's very goofy. He loses very easily. He's very slapstick. He lets his own minions like make fat jokes at him and doesn't like scold them or anything.
Yeah, he wants to be called your blubberness and like RBV. I think that's like Robotnik Belly Vision.
They have that one sequence where fucking Rotor dresses as him and he dresses as Rotor, and they're like,
oh yeah,
they're both chonkers, and that's kind of a punchline.
Yeah, it's just because like they're both chonky, and so they can both disguise as each other, I guess. And so they have like the part that every comic or cartoon does, where they're taking off a mask and they do it endlessly.
Yeah, or like a Robotnik like peeks out the window and is like, how can Rotor be so obese? Who just lets that happen to themselves?
God damn, dude.
Which actually kind of gets into like there's a lot of references, like not just of other Sonic media in this, but
yeah, we can definitely get into that. You want to just?
I mean, my favorite is the fucking James Cagney thing, where Rotor is like, I'm going to impersonate Dr. Robotnik, and he's like, I can also do a great James Cagney impression. And so I was like, wait, no, don't be James Cagney.
That's such a deep cut. And explain to people who that is, for people that don't know James Cagney.
James Cagney is a famous American actor. He's of the golden age, I guess you could say. He's best known for playing a gangster.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he his most famous role was the Public Enemy in 1932, and he has this famous scene in it where he grapefruits someone, as in like he's with his girlfriend and he slams a grapefruit in her face, and that specific scene is considered the inciting incident for the production code, which heavily censors Hollywood for decades.
No way. Was it because like she got hurt, or was it like just like the violence?
No,
of it?
it's just like any implication of violence against a woman. So it's like it's not like violent. He doesn't hurt her. He's just like she's being snarky, and he just like smacks the grapefruit into her face.
That sounds so funny though.
It's hilarious. Good. It's not actually that violent at all, but you know, the 30s.
I just love the idea of with that specific term, grapefruiting, especially to distance it from another version of grapefruiting that I happen to know about.
I wanted to share this with you because I believe every man should get grapefruited.
Yeah, I get that a lot. It's really funny. It's like, do you mean the grapefruit scene or the grapefruit scene?
Yeah. There's a lot of other really good references here too. There's like one panel where Sonic is comparing himself to a lot of other things and like explaining how fast he is and like his different sort of speed levels. And he's like, I can go faster than Carl Lewis, track and field Olympic athlete. And,
yeah, they like reference people that were known in pop culture of the time, famous people of the time.
I'm faster than Richard Petty, which was really funny. They didn't actually say Richard Petty. They said Richard King, and then they had him in the 43 NASCAR, which I mean that's Richard Petty. There was also like a really weird reference where Rotor just like randomly. While they're
singing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot.
Which is a traditional African-American spiritual song, and they do that while they're, like, under duress after I think one of them is kidnapped or something.
I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's one of those songs is, like, used in reference to, like, when you see, like, prisoners of old with, like, the pickaxes, like, swinging, and they're, like, singing a song. I think that's one of the songs that will be used in that sort of sequence.
Yeah. There is a
but
part...
what I really liked is Botman.
Botman! What the is Botman? He was like Iron Man and Batman at the same time.
Because also there's the fact also that he's golden, and there's this reference to a specific superhero, which I see surprisingly often, and yet I never really see people identify, is a lot of people think Superman was the very first superhero in 1938. He's not. The very first superhero, like, known from 1931 and is Japanese. It's called Golden Bat.
Really? I totally
So, like, if you look up Golden Bat, like, you'll see, like, there's a lot of visual similarity, and it's, like, I don't know, just the way Batman is designed, like, in the gold color, I'm like, is this a Golden Bat reference? Because, like, I'm used to, like, seeing really weird Golden Bat references.
Yeah, for sure. I found a couple of interesting... There's 2 Wolverine references and 2 TMNT references. I don't know if you caught that.
I love the Ninja Turtle reference where they're running in the sewer and the Ninja Turtles run past.
Yeah, that's the really good one. That one's in the main comic. I love that one. I'm trying to find the other one real quick because I did also grab a snippet of it.
Steve Urkelbot.
The Steve Urkelbot. Yeah, let's talk about the Steve Urkelbot for a second. Because why the okay, hold on. I'm going to read out this comic just verbatim because holy it seems like there's been a slight miscommunication glitch. Instead of sending a Wolverine bot, they sent in a Wolverkelbot. And then like the fucking Steve Urkelbot is like twisting his fingers and snapping, and he's got like these oversized glasses and like these like large black eyes with a single white dot in the middle.
So good.
And like these like this like I mean it looks like just like the only way I can describe it is like it's sort of minstrelly with like the like smile that he's got going on that's like super large and imposed, and like I don't know, it's just so. And then he goes, another Robotnik rule broken, no laughing. And then Sonic goes, your voice sounds familiar. Bah, this isn't helping my image. I just need a superhero. Oh, this is the one where he's like trying to find different superheroes, so it's full of a bunch of different references. But like I just, oh my god, that whole sequence there, it just...
I will say what I really appreciate about these early comics is like these are where the first narrative are for Sonic pretty much, and you know, a lot of other Sonic media takes inspiration in some level, and like for example, Sonic is supposed to be the 90s cool kid, even in the modern era they attempt to do that, but they try to like make him snarky and like witty, and it never works. But the fact that the writer here is a genuine like gag comic writer, and like he has a legacy of that in his family, like when Sonic says something snarky, like it really like gets an actual laugh, and like the references are actually pretty solid.
Yeah, for sure, I agree. like, I don't know. He actually does feel very jokey and prankstery in this one, and he kind of gets off a bunch of really funny pranks. Or, just destroying things. That's
I
mainly
like
it,
he
actually.
has some pretty smart ass insults, and a lot of them are like, that's pretty funny though.
Yeah. I have
Because
this
it's like the
one right here.
90s, and like there's like the fat shaming and the fat jokes, but like there is something to be said about them still being able to make like pretty like insulting insults back in the time, because that actually gives some punch to what's being said.
Can I read out this one quote
Oh my
from
god,
issue 9?
go for it.
I don't want to go out on a limb, but I would like to get the root of Sally's problem. I'd be a sap if I decided to leave. As Forrest that's concerned, I'll try to cedar this thing through for sure. If not, I'll be pining and weeping. I'd much rather take what is that, a bush oak? God.
Yeah, that's just, it's so different when you have a genuine like comedy writer like trying to write snark. Like it comes across different. It almost reads like a screwball at times.
I actually saw that panel rewritten to say, I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less, and I'm not
Oh
kidding.
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah. And so seeing the original quote and knowing that it was just a mess of tree puns makes me very happy.
Yeah, God, what else is there? I mean, the Chaos Emeralds are already immediately a concept, but I think you kind of saw they're very different in these initial early comics, and that's actually a major plot point you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Oh,
like you have like what are they called? The Freedom Emeralds on the Royal Crown of Acorn.
Yeah.
I have that, and then like they'll show like Sonic uses 7 Chaos Emeralds to like transform, and like they're all green.
Yeah, that's true. He does, like, and that's like a weird thing too, where he's like,
Good thing I stashed these Chaos Emeralds and a bunch of rings right here, and now I can enter the special zone and warp.
I
And
don't
now,
think they ever properly explain the rings. Like I think they're just supposed to be like a
well, that's how the
creation
game
that
works.
exists in the world because chaos exists in the world, and it's like a physicality of that.
I
Not
guess
sure.
that's
Don't
true.
don't quote me on that.
They never
But
did
the
explain it here.
emeralds, definitely take note of how many emeralds there are, because they're not like randomly like retconning. It is pertinent to the fact there are many different emerald types and they're all green.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I found the other
Let's
place
just say
that...
they do something different with the Chaos Emeralds than in other media.
Gotcha. I found the other place, by the way, that they reference both TMNT and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's right towards the end in Mini 2. There's a Wolverine reference where Robotnik like pulls out Wolverine claws, and he says, the panel says, Sonic has no villains who are mutants, and then Robotnik says, don't be so sure. And the other one is number 6, nor does this title really rely on guest stars to help book sales. And then he says, scram, turtles! Sheesh, we're only trying to help. And then they actually come back later, which is really funny.
See, I like that you took specific notes of these references, and like my own notes, I just say, God, what do I say? Issue number 5, Sonic's feet.
Sonic's feet. You see
Number
them?
9. Number 9, I literally just wrote inflation in all caps.
I haven't really been like writing down notes so much as I have been just taking screenshots and then like naming them.
That's your style of note taking. I have a really overpriced Moleskine that I write in.
I guess I do also write a little bit into our little Word doc here too, but there's a Michael J. Fox reference here too. It's also in the same panel as the one that I was just talking about earlier. It's like reasons to read the Sonic the Hedgehog comic. Number 2, Sonic's Adventures are soon to be a major motion picture starring Michael J. Fox.
As Sonic.
Yeah, and he's like wearing a Sonic costume. He says, "No, Tails is the fox. I'm a hedgehog." And then he says, "Hey, it's stuck."
But yeah, there's a lot of interesting plot elements that you don't really understand yet are going to be plot elements. Like, it uses the rings and Chaos Emeralds to go into a special zone. And
Yeah.
that actually becomes a major thing as well as this concept of zones.
Interesting.
Or like, they're explained as like parallel dimensions. Dimensions?
Dimensions.
Like, they don't really explain that yet, but essentially think of it as like a parallel dimension. Like, it's equal in some ways. Like, you'll see like that really gets played with later on.
Yeah. Does Sonic die, by the way? At any point?
Sonic?
Yeah.
That's a weird question. Why are you asking that?
Well, it just says that the number one reason to read Sonic the Hedgehog the comic is because he won't be dying anytime soon, and you should buy multiple copies for that reason. So I just want to know if they're liars. I want to know if they faked me out and if they're actually lying.
Sonic
if
doesn't
they kill him
die.
off.
No. I mean, if you've kind of seen the hints of it, like, oh no, Sonic died. Then he like comes in the next panel. It's like, hi, everyone.
Like, hey, that you thought that thing vored me, but actually I was just ripping out its insides using my spine.
I don't know. It kind of sounds like it might be some sort of snarky reference to something else. Maybe another comic.
It might be. He is like wearing like a white flag, and it looks very dramatic. And Sally is crying. It looks like it could be very easily a reference to something.
Yeah, it probably is. I mean, there's a lot of references, and let's be honest, we're not true 90s kids. We're both on the ass end
No.
of a millennial, so.
There are some other good references that I didn't write down in the doc. Like there's like a Frankenstein reference where he goes, "It's alive! It's alive!
It's alive! I hope my health insurance covers it."
Yeah, there's a health insurance joke. There's also like a protester joke. You see that joke?
There is some political stuff in here that's pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, Sonic has always been a little bit political because it's always been about saving the environment, and that's always been a very political sort of thing.
Like, that's a little plot point where they're like protesting outside of Robotnik's headquarters.
Yeah, the one where they're protesting outside the headquarters is really funny. Because it just feels like, I don't know, like it came just after, like it feels like the Reagan era, like 90s era, just like with the ban the bomb, no nukes, save our planet.
Cold War, end of the Cold War.
Is that Cold War? I don't know. End of the Cold War, yeah.
Is it? Hold on.
I don't know how long the Cold War lasted. I don't know when it's officially ended.
When did the Cold War end?
Some people say that the Cold War never ended.
1991.
1991, baby. That's right, when Sonic came out. I bet Sonic ended the Cold War.
Oh my god. You think
Thank you,
protesting
Sonic.
outside Robotnik's at headquarters is like, okay, wow.
It worked.
Wow. Sonic said we should defuse the bomb.
There's another comic that was in like the prequel thing that was really funny. That was a Boomer comic or a Rotor comic. And he's like, we talk a lot about the fast characters, but what about the slow characters? And he's like, my little buddy, the snail. It's like, hey, I'm not slow. This other thing is slower than me. How about the U.S. mail? That's slower than me. And then the mailman's like, look, I just follow my orders to the letter. And then he goes, but if you think I'm slow, then check out the speed of this anti-pollution bill as it goes through Congress. Now that's slow.
Yeah, it's very snarky.
Like, that's such a good joke, and it caught me out of the fucking left field.
Which
because
I
it's
think
still
it's
pertinent.
a pretty interesting combination of like this like heavy snark that's like almost adult humor, like not vulgar, but just kind of adult humor and punchlines in regards to politics. But then also there's this very like Saturday morning cartoon-esque vibe to the art style and just the overall narrative. I think it's very interesting. I think it definitely makes it interesting for I mean, I read them when I was a kid, and even like rereading them now, I'm like, this is kind of funny. I'm kind of happy to be rereading these.
No, I'm not having a bad time. These are really fun. Like every time that like I open a new page, I feel like surprised by what I find, even if it like is something very generic at the end of the day, or if it's just like some kind of new character being introduced, or just something weird that like will end up not being important later. It's just kind of funky and enjoyable and very of its time. There's a Charles Dickens reference here too. Did you know that?
Oh, read it off to me.
It's All the Males About Tales segment. And It says, what does it say? Buddy Mosley of Tucson, Arizona says Tails' ancestor was owned by Charles Dickens. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Good start. It's a tale of two cities.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot going on there. It's
Wow.
at times I definitely can assume that would be difficult for readers, like kids, to like understand what the hell is happening. The modern interpretations, like they'll reference like other Sonic media, but it's pretty streamlined. It's pretty easy to like just pick up a comic and start reading it.
Yeah. They definitely date themselves a lot with these references.
Yeah, and it can make it pretty difficult for some people, I'm sure. I'm sure if like a 12-year-old picked up like these comics and like started reading them, it'd be pretty difficult to understand what's going on and the references and like what's being said exactly.
Like, who the is Moby Dick? I don't think any children really
Who's
know what
Urkel?
I mean, that's true. I don't, especially now. Like a lot, I don't think any kids watch watch that show. Is it Family Matters? Yeah.
I don't sitcoms. I hate sitcoms.
Fair. It's a mood. It's a real mood. There's like some plots that happen. Like we mentioned earlier, Sonic's uncle and his dog are captured. They're turned into slaves. So Sonic and Sally have to fight to rescue them. I should say like robot slaves. So they're like mind controlled.
Yeah, they don't really specify background much so far. All we know is that Sally's a princess and her father's captured. They live in a not-whole village, which is a kingdom. We know Sonic has a dog and an uncle. They don't really like discuss the rest of his family or what's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some like a lot of one-off plots, like different little things, like a salamander gets turned into a robot, or actually, a lot of them are really just things. X gets turned into a robot and then rampages.
Chaos ensues.
Yeah, chaos ensues. There's also a couple of like homages to other things, like there's a Christmas Carol bit where all the characters become Christmas Carol characters and they reenact that whole bit.
Yeah, and Dr. Robotnik is Scrooge.
Yeah, which that is really good. And also Sonic is like multiple ghosts, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny that they just didn't have different
Ghost of
ghosts.
Rad Past? Is it Past or Present? The one where he has the skateboard and the hat. I think it's Ghost of the Past.
That one was the Ghost of the Past, I think. And it might have been the present, I don't know. Or the present, he was actually just the present. Ghost of the Future, he was in like,
oh
a robe.
yeah, he was like physically a present.
Yeah, he was like physically like an actual like ribbon present.
Gift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this really funny part where Sally goes off to like finish her Halloween costume, and
oh my god,
Robotnik just falls in love with Sally because
she's like waving the stick around, and like they're kids pretty much, so they're kind of acting like kids. She's like waving this big old stick around, and like a rock gets blasted up by a geyser, and she's like, magic, and like Dr. Robotnik is walking by, and he's like, magic.
He isn't even walking by. That's the creepy part. He actually just saw it on a video camera from a really far distance away, and then he like flew
and
there
he's like,
and was like,
I want
"Marry
to
me,
smash this furry."
I'm taking you with me. I love you.
It's just kind of weird because like the ages aren't specific, but like also it's pretty much assumed they're kids.
Oh yeah,
like he's a grown ass man.
A grown
But
ass.
like also like would they
man.
know that? Would they? Does Robotnik as a human character understand like ages of the furry character?
I don't know that. I think because they didn't define the ages, I think that they're just skirting around that. I think they're just like, let's just not talk about it.
Yeah. Also in the miniseries, like all this pretty much gets retconned, but like there's like, man, what if like I grew up with Robotnik and like my uncle raised a Robotnik? And like I grew up with him and I hated him and he was my shitty brother. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in this comic that are sort of like that really just don't make any sense, but you just kind of have to go along with it because you know that it's not going to be canon
can
after
be
a while.
retconned.
Everything
and
will be.
sometimes they just write for a joke.
Yeah. That's very true. A lot of things like Cal and Al are just total gag characters where they just show up just basically to mess with Sonic every single time that they're there.
Yeah, and they're super specific and weird, and they're also humanoid characters.
Yeah, they are humanoids. They're one of the few other humanoids besides Robotnik. And also, apparently, according, I guess it was a fake flashback, but there was like a fake flashback where Robotnik and Sonic like grew up together,
Yeah.
and like I thought that was like
And
really
also,
cute.
and also, they say like Uncle Chuck invented the rings, which that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Obviously, like because as soon as you get in the main line, he's like just stumbles into some rings.
right. It doesn't really make any sense that he would be the one to craft it, unless they're talking about like the transportation rings or something. I don't know. But they also talk about that he's like an inventor just in general, like he made the shoes that Sonic wears, which is part of the reason why he's so fast.
Not the reason he's fast. It's more like they're shoes that don't wear out.
Well, there was a whole thing, a whole arc of the comic
Yeah,
about
the little Olympic
his
thing where like they steal
yeah,
his shoes.
they steal his shoes and then he can't perform in the Olympics because he's like, these shoes make me weak and bad. I need my good shoes. That was also the issue that you can see his feet.
And we see Sonic's feet. He can swim. He can swim in these comics.
He can swim. He can, and he does the thing where he swallows an air bubble and breathes.
I'm sure no child has ever replicated that based off Sonic media.
I'm pretty sure most children were too afraid to be quite frank with you, because those segments were terrifying.
Water levels always suck.
Oh, yeah. So, we've kind of mentioned already how they relate to the games. There's, like the parts of the first issue where they just sort of like, turn on your Genesis to go into the next part or flip the page.
Yeah, there's this one panel I really like where they like draw a little Genesis controller and like Sonic's like bouncing around doing his thing and they're like, press the buttons and help Sonic like on the paper. And like that's so cute.
It's so charming. It sort of reminds me a little bit of the interactive comics, like I mentioned earlier, the Captain Underpants series. I always loved the Fliporamas, and like that you could just sort of like have a little tiny animation in there. And that's sort of what this felt like. Of course, there wasn't an animation, and of course, it wasn't interactive, but it just sort of felt that way because I could point at the screen and be like, "Oh, look, there's the buttons. I could press them." Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone actually did that. I think,
I did.
man, I don't know what the demographic, wow. I don't know what they expect their demographic to be, probably kids, but also there is that sort of more mature humor in the gag nature of it, so yeah, I think it's still in the, they're not sure what their exact demographic is in terms of child age.
Yeah, there's also like certain comics that are just about certain games, it seems like, because there was this whole Sonic Spinball segment that was actually quite fun. Didn't really have any story besides him just like going into an area that was full of lava and then he got burned and then he left after doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, I grew up playing Sonic Spinball in particular, and that was one of my favorite games, so just to see it like, yeah, oh, we're mentioning Sonic Spinball in this Archie the Comics series that is going to eventually have a story.
I grew up with the anime. Where's Chris Thorndike?
and, then, and then at the end of it, they're like, "Hey, kids, if you want more, then write in and mail in, and we'll make more Sonic Spinball segments." Which it just seems like a weird thing to ask kids to do.
Well, they did do that in the 90s.
Yeah,
like
true.
You'll start to see later on, like they'll include like any art that gets mailed in. They'll like have like a little art segment to show like submitted art by kids.
Yeah, I do like that part. And
so,
they
like
have
they
like a
definitely
whole
did
fan
that
mail
in the
section.
90s because like those also help them like see like fan reception and like what people want more of.
I will say that some of those are really charming. I do like reading through. I don't like read through the entire thing every time, but I will read through a couple of passages just to be like, I wonder what the fans mailed in and asked this time. And it just feels like such a perfect little capsule of like children from this era, just so innocent and like.
There's so much about this comic series in its initial stages that's so charming and cute.
Yeah.
Before the legend comes in.
Yeah. Oh God.
Which I can't fully discredit him. He is again kind of the reason there is narrative formed in this comic series.
It had to start somewhere.
But yeah. Is there anything we didn't cover?
I'm trying to remember. I think there was a thing that I was about to say there, but I don't remember. And it's not coming back to me, so I'll put it in post if I actually care enough.
No, unedited, including the
Unedited.
weird anti-Semite Jew question.
Oh, yeah, we're keeping it all in.
Keeping it all in.
I'm going to Google that to see if I'm the only one who thought that. And then if I'm not, then I'm going to keep it in.
You're
But if
just
I
gonna
am,
have
then
like
I'm going to get rid
just
of it.
a block insert text, and you just put, "I'm not the only one."
Yeah. Look, I'm not the only one, guys. I wasn't the only one. So if you're listening to this, I wasn't the only one.
He's pretty much the only one who's ever said this. Weirdo.
Because this part will also be taken out if
No, you're keeping it all in.
No.
I love when other podcasts, they're like, cut that out, and they don't cut it out. But yeah, do we have anything else to talk about, you think?
I don't know. I mean, how about just our general thoughts?
General thoughts, it's cute, it's charming. If they continued with this for a long time, I could see how the comics wouldn't last that long. There's definitely a lot of success to be had in introducing the man, the legend, and being like, okay, we're gonna start like writing our own original narrative.
I feel like for how long this is going to go on, it's really hard to... Well, maybe it's not hard to keep it up, because there are some gag comics like Osumatsu-san that have been going on for, like, years, right? You know?
I don't think Osamatsu-kun is a manga series. I think that was
Is it?
only an anime.
Was it a TV thing? Oh, I thought that it at least had a... I thought that it was based on, like, a weekly, basically like a newspaper comic. Sort of like the American, like, Peanuts or something.
Oh, no, you're right. Comedy manga series by Fujio Kasuga.
Yeah.
Didn't run that long though, only 62 to 69. But yeah, it's
Huh.
more so known as like an anime of the time. Like
Gotcha.
big for formulating a lot of pop culture. I generally equate it to like The Simpsons, but for
Yeah.
Japan.
And The Simpsons is also a good reference, I feel like, for this series. Maybe not perfectly, because it's not like, you know, a TV show, but... Well, let me think. What's a good comic book franchise that might actually be a better fit?
Hmm. I mean,
Like, maybe Mario.
I don't know. Mario doesn't really have a comic series though. Mario is more of like just game.
I guess so.
And they like eventually give him a little bit of a personality, unless you're trying to
You know,
unless you're trying to equate it to like the live action Mario movie.
Hey, Sonic the Hedgehog here. Turns out Super Mario Adventures is actually a series of comics that ran in Nintendo Power in 1992 that featured Mario and his friends based loosely on Super Mario World. In 2016, Viz Media actually reprinted the entire anthology of Super Mario Adventures. Huh, the more you know.
I was thinking about it, just mainly because I was thinking about, like, the Super Show, and I thought maybe they would have, like, a comic to go along with that, but the more that I think about it, you're right. Like, there really isn't much of a narrative that has ever developed for Mario. Mario has always stayed very pure and very simple, whereas Sonic has progressively gotten more and more complicated. I bet that's at least in part due to
I
this
think that's
comic.
kind of the unique aspect of Sonic that made it such a
Yeah.
standing icon as a franchise.
Even when it's not a good story, they at least try for one.
Yeah, there is a narrative that they're attempting.
Yeah. But there's not a lot of nuance in these first couple of issues. It's like a Saturday morning cartoon, breaks the fourth wall. It's occasionally kind of dark in the way that these sort of early children's media is, with its sort of violence. And
Yeah,
it gets political sometimes, but
you'll definitely see that go down the toilet real quick.
yeah.
You're like, there's a little bit of violence in this. I'm like,
I know that, like, I've seen one part of the comic that, like, legitimately terrifies me that we're going to come up to soon. That's going to be, like, the part of the comic where it's like, we have to leave him behind. No! And then, like, they close the door. It's like a sacrifice.
Sonic is no longer his charming self. He had seen war.
Yeah, exactly. I'm so excited for that. Oh my god. But so many gags, so many puns. I'm having a good time. We're gonna do basically a lot of comics for the next one to just catch up to good old Ken.
Yeah, so you listeners at home, if you want to join along with us on the experience, we read the miniseries, which is 4 little mini comics for this, and then we read volumes or issues 1 through 10 of the Archie comics, and then for next episode we're going to be doing issues 11 through 40.
Yeah, which that's like what 30 issues. So that'll be a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff to cover.
Yeah, and like I specifically cut it off at 40 because you want to let's just say
I mean, I think that if I understand correctly, that we're going to get our first narrative arc just before the start of Endgame, like the last
before the alleged famous story arc called Endgame. But like it's still
Yes.
building up. I wanted to like try to get as close as possible to the introduction of specific writer, the man, the legend. Wonder
Which
who
I
he
love
is.
I love that he called his segment Endgame at the very beginning of the franchise. That's like so fucking like to me, like Marvel calling themselves their movie
Now you didn't
Endgame.
spoil yourself on what happens in Endgame, did you?
No, I know nothing. But I feel
Perfect.
like anything.
Let's just say, you named it Endgame for a reason. There's some bold choices that occur.
I can't fucking wait. But it's just like I feel like they always call it Endgame, and then they're just like, actually, it's not the end. We have to continue this for at least like 100 more years.
We're reincarnating Superman for the 90th time.
Yeah. We're reincarnating Superman. Also, Spider-Man and Iron Man are not dead or whatever. They come back. Everybody comes back. Of course they come back. They have movies that are coming out. Have you seen the Black Panther movie schedule? It's coming out. He's not dead. You know? That's kind of how the end game feels to me. But I'm also very excited because I feel like it's going to be a big turn.
So yeah, we're going to do issues 1 through 40 next time. Doubt we're going to do really any other media yet. We might introduce that in a bit, but we're going to get Bax into it. We're going to get him past the gag era into starting to see some other things, and we're going to see one of my favorite characters. They're pretty... God, I don't even know if like anyone else will know this character, but like let's just say, unlike Sonic, he don't chuckle.
I have no idea what that means. I can't wait.
Oh boy.
Oh man. So I guess that's it for this one. Before we go, we should probably shout out our socials and links and things.
Yeah.
So...
in post Bax, slap up our socials. Make sure mine is first and slightly larger.
Bam.
Perfect.
Socials.
Perfect.
We have a podcast that is also a Twitter account, and Sonic the Hedgehog. So Podcast Sonic at Podcast
Sonic.
If you follow him, he will let you know all about our podcast. He's our third member of the podcast.
Yeah, he's here for us.
Yeah.
He wants everyone to know his legacy.
Yeah. He's going to be sharing all of our marketing and helping us out with the editing as well. He's a really good friend of ours.
They keep me here against my will.
But yeah, and then Bax himself has another podcast, Bundle Bourgeoisie.
Oh yeah, I guess I can rep that now, huh?
Yeah,
the Bundle Bourgeoisie,
and,
I do that.
You've been known to delve into some Sonic.
Sonic. I am playing Sonic Forces right now on my stream at twitch.tv/backstab. So if you want to come and check out some of that. Also, Ebie has requested me to play Shadow the Hedgehog. So if you'd like to see me play that as well, I'm going to have to go into a used game store and pick that one up. Special for Ebie.
If I don't get agitated and just mail it to you.
You just get stressed out and you're just like, play it.
And also it's confirmed he's got to play Sonic 06 soon.
Oh no.
When he reaches the sub goal, he's got to play Sonic 06.
Is it the 100 sub goal?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
Listen, I'm not a total sadist. You ain't gotta 100% the game, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm happy about. If I did, then I would be very angry. I have one playthrough though I can do. I've never actually played the game, so I feel like it'll be a worthwhile experience for
Oh
me
my
as a
god,
Sonic
dude,
fan.
it's a fucking experience.
Especially because from what I understand, it was your first.
My first Sonic game, yeah.
Which, what a game to start.
It's-
It's a wonder that you're a Sonic fan today.
Well, I don't know if I'd call myself a fan. I'm kidding.
You're starting a podcast about Sonic. You're
Starting a podcast. I actually hate the franchise.
Oh yeah, we never talked about our Sonic the Hedgehog OCs.
Yeah, slap those up, Bax.
Yeah,
Slap them up right now.
right. Mine is a bear, and
You'll see mine.
yeah.
It's on
Well,
screen right now.
Well, on the YouTube version. For all the other platforms.
For
you're
audio
gonna have to,
listeners, imagine.
should-
Imagine, if you will.
Imagine. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. It's been great. This is the real sign-off now.
We'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. This is so exciting. A new project.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Carl Brueggemann of the Super Mercado Bros podcast for allowing us to use his original music from Sonic-esque Volume 1. Really appreciate it. There's a link in the description to both his music and his podcast. Love you, Carl.
Honey is great for the throat, which is why I put it in there also.
Yeah, we could also get that black licorice deep throat tea. Like, numbs the back of your
wow.
throat.
That sounds dope. What?
It tastes disgusting, but like, if you ever need to take a large phallic object right to the back of your throat, I'm sure it works great.
Oh, I'll keep that in mind. Okay, bye.